Hi, this is Slink for Stratos Corporation EVE Online. This is kind of a continuation of the previous video I just did for EveMon. This is actually going over the EVE fitting tool. I consider those two tools to be almost essential for an EVE pilot and recommend getting both. Both have links on our website forums to download. Basically, EVE Fitting Tool, where EveMon focuses on the player skills, the Fitting Tool, EFT, focuses on being able to build ships. And in EFT, you can sit down and build any ship with any set of modules you want, try to figure out what skills you need, what kind of DPS or tanking capabilities you'll have once you build the ship, and so on. There's three basic panels. The first is the fitting panel. This is where you grab all your fittings from and you can later put them into the ship that you're looking at. The other is the character editor, and you can use various different builds, so you can actually import your own character from using that same API key that I showed you how to grab in the EveMon video. You can use an all level 5, where it basically assumes that you're fully trained in every category. You can use empty. You can modify different versions of your character. You know, if I trained this, how much would I do, and so on. Tons of capabilities to what if all you want. For this, I'll just use my my character as imported right now from the API key. And it's got a list of my skills, my implants, and so on. Now, the third panel, which I have open right now, or empty right now, is where you open up a ship itself. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and grab, I guess, a Drake. I don't have any builds yet for Drake, because I haven't gone that route yet. And darn it, there's the battle cruisers. Sometimes these lists are hard to find. Now, I haven't done a Drake fitting yet in EFT, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Just say yes, and we'll call it Drake Test 1. So this will be a single build for a ship, and I'll just throw it here in the middle for now. So basically, it brings up all the statistics for your ship. It's got which character skill set you want to use. In this case, I'll select Slink. With that character skill set, it'll show your CPU power grid, how many your drone bay, your rig capacity, basically all of the statistics you'll need for your ship. It's got your shield armor and structure statistics here, DPS, volley, your alpha strike capabilities, targeting speeds, pretty much just about any statistic you need to know about your ship. So basically, it's got all of these slots right now empty, and this is where you just use the tool to start building out the ship. So, and this may end up being a retarded build, but I'm just gonna throw some different. So let's see, we'll use missile, heavy assault, missile launcher 1s, let's say. So you basically just double-click the item, and it will start to load the missile launcher 1s into those slots. Now you'll notice as I do this, it's calculating how much power I'm using, how much CPU I'm using. It's also starting to calculate how much DPS I'll do with that build, and so on. So basically we'll fill all 7 slots with missile launchers. For a medium slot, I'm just going to throw some stuff in here. This is not necessarily any kind of a recommended build, but I'll just throw some, I don't know, some shield extenders in the mix. Let's see, can it fit a large? Yeah, I'm going to run out of power grid fast. I'll just use some mediums just for example's sake. So we'll throw a couple of shield extenders in here, some hardeners, and I don't need to spend too much time in with the actual fittings. I'm sure those will be covered in later videos, but just for some low slots, just for the example, I'll show you, darn it, what is it, turrets, weapon upgrades, and we'll throw some ballistic BCSs in at least 2 of the low slots. So the main reason I just wanted to put this in here is so you can see that basically, like adding the ballistic control system, adding a second, you can see that that takes your DPS from 108 to 122. And it takes your volley from what it was to 795, etc. So you can, the basic idea here is you can spend all day long what ifing. What if I add a third ballistic control? What does the diminishing returns do as far as, you know, a lot of these units, when you use more than one of the same type, the actual benefit that you get from subsequent units go down, and so on, and you can basically get all the statistics on those numbers as you go. So basically, that's the basics. You throw your ship together, you select what skill set you want to use, you load it up with whatever fittings you want, and check out the statistics and see what each change and modification does. It's a great way to spend zero ISK, a little bit of time, and figure out exactly what your build is going to be and what you need to buy before you're even able to fly the ship. Now the other key component is, now in this case, for this particular ship, if you see this red up here, it's telling me that Slink couldn't even fly this right now. And that's because to be able to fly it, he'd need Caldari Cruiser 3, and he'd need Heavy Missile Launchers 1. So now this is not a comprehensive list, this is just what I would need to be able to fly the ship. But it's a quick indicator of whether or not I can even fly and use the modules loaded in a quick list of what's necessary. You can then go over to EVMON and build out a better training queue based on that information. Another thing that's very helpful is to be able to use the character editor to actually modify what skills would apply to this particular ship. So in this case, actually I'll set this back to Slink. In this case I've got Slink loaded in the Drake with these particular fittings. Now I actually don't want to modify Slink, so I'm going to actually change it to my version 3. So I change both ends to version 3. And now, as you notice with this version, I have 154 DPS as is. And then I can kind of start to prioritize exactly what does particular an individual skill improvement actually mean to my DPS, for example. So in this case, I'll use, where is it? It's rapid launch. There it is. So this build has me at rapid launch level 4, and I can ask the question, what if I were to train rapid launch to level 5? You'll notice the 154 DPS rises to 160. So I'd get an extra 6 DPS out of this ship with this build if I were to train rapid launch and so on. So that's basically how the general setup works. There's a lot more to it, obviously, but I figured I'd at least give you a basic idea of how to get going in it. The key thing is, one of the little intricacies of how to maintain it, you've got to constantly remember if you're going to use a different skill set, you want to change it here on the ship, and then you actually have to go over to this side and change the character itself, and then you can start editing and you'll see the changes here to there. Every once in a while I end up changing one without the other and going, why isn't it updating? So anyway, I invite you to play around with it. Another thing I'm going to cover briefly is just how I personally little way that I use EVMON and EFT together. If you go into even just like a lookup plan here, and you go into the ship browser, for example, anytime you're looking, I do this a lot when I'm trying to familiarize myself with a new ship. But let's say I go into the battle cruisers here, and I actually load in the Drake. If you notice, there is a link up here at the top where if you click Battle Clinic Loadouts, it will take a couple seconds here, but it'll load up a bunch of fittings sets that people have shared and other people have gone in and rated and so on. And sometimes the names are very descriptive for different functions for the ship and so on. So like in this case, the top rated Drake build has 641 rating, is a solo level 4 passive tank Drake. And from this page you can see how they have the ship built. And from this, it kind of gives me a template to start to jump over to EVMON. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to, just do what the fit says. I want to understand why. I want to know why this guy's using 3 shield relays rather than 2 relays and something else and so on. So I tend to then take this information and jump over to EFT and tweak it, and I'll look at many different builds and dive into the why and start adapting to my own play style and intended use. But as far as just a quick reference, it is a great way to at least get started if you're thinking about flying a ship in the near future that you're totally unfamiliar with. By using EVMON, the Battle Clinic loadouts, you're able to go in and at least see what most other people are doing. I tend to go with the theory that anything that everybody does, there's probably a pretty good reason for it. So some things you'll just find where everybody uses the exact same set of modules, at least in some of the slots, where there's, in other cases, a lot of difference in individual style and use. So anyway, there's at least a pretty good start on EFT, EVMON, and how to use the two together to start getting much more familiar with ships and fits. I hope you enjoyed these 2 videos, and I hope to do more in the near future. Thanks.